Hey guys, Big Al here. Today we're going to look at a few squirrel hunting rifles and see how they shoot. Here's the first group of CCI mini mags out of my 1022 at 50 yards. There's the second group at 50 yards for the 1022 with the CCI mini mags. Now for the CZ 452 with CCI standard velocity at 50 yards. That was the CZ 452 with CCI standard velocity at 50 yards. Now for the testing with the CCI mini mags. There's our group of CCI mini mags at 50 yards from the CZ 452. I lowered them down a little bit and it was almost perfect for what they need to be because they're going faster than those. But a little point of impact shift to the left. We'll go in and measure these groups and talk about them. Now for the Cooper 17 HMR at 50 yards. '17 HMR at 50 yards, 5-shot group. This is the first group of 17 HMR at 100 yards. Okay, there's the second group of 17 HMR at 100 yards. Focused a lot more on that one, so it is much better than the second one, or than the first group at 100 yards. We will go in and measure these. Okay guys, so our first rifle is Ruger 1022. This rifle, with its synthetic stock and its short carbine barrel, weighs 5.5 pounds. I have a Weaver 9-power scope on top of it. So how it shot. I only used CCI mini mags in it because I figured those were the best for what I plan on doing, which is squirrel hunting. I had formerly shot CCI stingers out of it, and I found them a little bit too destructive on squirrels. So I changed to CCI mini mags. Hopefully they still do a good bit of damage, and but save a little bit of meat. So the first group was this one right here. It was at 50 yards. It was a 5-shot group, and it measured 0.917. I moved it up a little bit because it was a little bit low. And our second shot here, which was with the same ammo at 50 yards, 5-shot group of 0.995. I'm very pleased with these results. I always thought of this gun as a 1-inch at 50-yard gun, and it is. And with this ammo, I'm very confident in the squirrel woods for this gun. Okay, on to our second gun. Our second gun is a CZ452. It has a standard length barrel, a wood stock, and a Burris 2-7 variable power scope. The trigger is a modified Yodave trigger, and it breaks at about 2.5 pounds. I shot 2 different types of ammo through this gun. The first type was CCI standard velocity. A 50-yard 5-shot group measured 0.869 inches. This group had a flyer in it, and if that flyer was not there, it would measure about a 1/2 inch, which is what this gun can do with that ammo. The second group I tried with it was with the CCI mini mags. Because of the nature of the standard velocity, I have not had consistent terminal results with it against Squirrel, so I thought I would up the power a little bit so that I would have more reliable results. The CCI mini mags 5-shot group out of this at 50 yards measured 0.780 inches. That is pretty good and is definitely good enough for squirrels out to about 75 yards for me. And especially with this ammo, I'm hoping that it does a little bit better on some of the not the best hits. What I found is the standards, if you hit it anywhere but the head, they survive for a little bit, or they get away. For our last squirrel hunting rifle, we have a Cooper Arms rifle that is chambered in 17 HMR. This rifle features a very nice wood stock that has a Monte Carlo cheek piece on it and some nice checkering on the handle. It has a very light trigger and breaks around 2 pounds. It has a lightweight and relatively short barrel on it, and the whole package weighs about 8.25 pounds. The scope is a Zeiss 6-20 power scope with open turret adjustments and parallax adjustment. So the groups on this gun were all shot with Hornady's 17 HMR 17 grain VMAX loads, and I shot 1 group at 50 yards and 2 groups at 100 yards. The group at 50 yards measured 0.501 inches and felt pretty good when I was shooting it. The first group at 100 was not satisfactory for me. I'm not sure what equated to it, but it was not very good. Measured 1.412 inches, so I shot a second group at 100 yards. This one was a lot better and measured 0.671 inches. This gun and the ammo that it shoots is very effective. It is a little overkill for squirrel, but if you are at a place where you can get a nice rest and you know that you're not going to be hauling this thing around in the woods, you know that you can be assured that you can shoot some pretty far ranges with this and still have very good performance against squirrel. You can shoot them out to about 150 yards with accuracy like this at 100 yards, I would be comfortable taking this out past 100 yards to shoot squirrels. The performance at 50 yards is very good. So if you have a good rest and you're still worried about some meat damage and some overkill, then you can just aim right at the head and hit exactly where you want. This gun again is a little more of a nuclear option and not necessarily the best, most ideal option for squirrel, but it definitely will do the job and it will definitely do it well. Okay guys, so this is the ammunition we were shooting. The lowest powered was the CCI standard velocity. It has a solid lead round nose bullet, and it is going at less than the speed of sound. About, what does the thing say? 1,070 feet per second. And while it is very accurate out of the two rifles that I shoot it out of, it just doesn't have the performance that I necessarily want when it comes to killing the animal. On headshots, it works almost all the time. On body shots, it is not the best. So I have decided that I'm not going to use that this year. Last year I used that a little bit. Last year I also used the CCI Stingers. Now I don't know if you can see this, but the CCI Stinger is a little bit longer case than the regular 22 cases, along with the mini mags. And what that does is that gives it some more powder capacity, and it uses a lighter bullet and goes a lot faster. It is going around 1,600 feet per second, and it definitely does a lot more damage. Has a hollow point copper jacketed bullet, and it's deadly. It does very well when it comes to terminal performance, but it wastes too much meat in my opinion. Even headshots, I was losing some of the front legs and front shoulder meat, and I didn't really need that. I was taking a good shot and I didn't get the whole squirrel, so that's kind of a waste. So they did great, and when I made bad shots, like the squirrel was running and I still decided to shoot, I could hit it in the guts and it would die almost every single time because it just had so much deadly performance. So I'm trying to find the middle ground here, and something that I've used a little bit but not too much is the CCI mini mags. Now these are a hypervelocity, meaning they go a little bit faster. They're like 1,200 feet per second, and they should perform a lot better because of the bullet that's in them. They have a similar to the Stinger bullet, where it's a copper-plated hollow point, but they're not going as fast. So the idea, for me at least, is that they will still open up and do some damage, but will not have near as much shock or go all the way through the body. Just enough so that it can do what it needs to do without wasting too much meat. The last cartridge that we have is the 17 HMR. This one has the smallest bullet here, as you can see, this little bullet on top. 17 grains. It's a VMAX bullet. It expands rapidly, and it is definitely capable of taking a squirrel, but it's very it'll be overpowered, probably more overpowered than even the Stinger. But if you want that and you want long range effectiveness, as long as your gun can do it, that is a very good cartridge for it. It has minimal drop, and it is an inexpensive rimfire cartridge. You can find it lots of places, and it is very effective. So that's what my thoughts are. The accuracy of my rifles are pretty decent. For me, my standard is, and for headshots on squirrels, is an inch at 50 yards. And if it can do better than that, and I know the drop, I'll shoot past 50 yards. I'll definitely shoot past 50 yards if I have a good enough rest. And it just the terminal performance is really what wins or loses it for me. So out of these rifles, all of them are going to be used this year. I'm going to do some testing, see the performance of different ones. I already have some testing down, but the main rifles I will be using are going to be the 1022 and the CZ452. The 1022 has advantages in the fact that it's only 5.5 pounds and is very light, whereas the CZ is 7.5 pounds. So I can lug the 1022 just about anywhere, and it's going to now be shooting the same bullet as the CZ, which is the CCI Mini Mag, and hopefully the performance of that will be good, and so we'll see. Another thing is, so for these rifles, I've also tested all this ammo and all of these rifles on groundhogs, and groundhogs need a little more than a squirrel, obviously. But where's the line? What's effective and at what ranges are that? I would say that the CCI standard velocity, as they aren't very effective against squirrels, are definitely not very effective against groundhogs, and I would not recommend these for use. CCI mini mags, I would recommend these for use under 50 yards and good placed headshots, and this will probably not even work 100% of the time, given those parameters. The CCI Stingers, I've had great luck on groundhogs with. All headshots, I think, from what I've shot, and out to a little over 50 yards for those, and performance was good. It killed the groundhog one shot. However, they do not drop dead because the expansion just isn't enough to do enough damage quickly, so they'll run off a little bit and then die. Won't take too long, less than 30 seconds, less than a minute. But that's my experience with those. My experience with these is that they're like perfect for groundhogs. Shot 4 or 5 groundhogs with those relatively recently, and they just dropped. They were all at about a little under 100 yards, and I shot 1 in the head and 2 in the chest. All just dropped. The expansion is pretty great on those. So if you're looking for a good groundhog cartridge, look to that. That's a good one. So to wrap up this video, I just want to say, hope you have a good squirrel hunting season. And if you're looking for a good squirrel hunting rifle, I would recommend any of those that I have, 1022 CZs and 17 HMR, great one. So those are the rifles I recommend. The ammo I recommend CCI mini mags. I think that's about the good balance for a 22 cartridge. And for 17, you don't have all that much option, so all I've got are these 17 grain VMAXs. I think that's about about the best bet for you there. And for accuracy concerns, I would say that if you're not an inch at 50 yards and you want to hunt out to 50 yards, don't bother with headshots. You'll only get frustrated if you miss a little bit. If you are, definitely take headshots. You'll most of the time get whole squirrel, all the meat from the squirrel when you take headshots, and it's a lot of fun. So have a good squirrel hunting season, and I will hope to see you in the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe if you like this content. Goodbye.